I think one of the biggest things on the technology side is supporting the unique workforce environment.
You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, the place to learn about new technology and technological advances before they become mainstream. This podcast is sponsored by D-Link Technology. Make your home smarter, safer, and truly seamless. Let's get into it.
Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'm your host, Carrie Roberts, and our guest today is Kurt DeYoung, the Vice President of Channel Sales with Barco. Today, we'll be discussing how to share information more efficiently. Welcome, Kurt. So thrilled to have you here today.
Thanks, Carrie. Great to be here.
So let's start with, what are some of the common problems that companies or organizations run into when it comes to sharing information with one another, especially in a meeting or presentation situation?
Well, that's a great question, because I think most businesses today are focused on increasing workforce productivity and trying to enable that through a rapidly changing technology stack. And at Barco, we've been really studying the workplace environment and workplace efficiency and meeting efficiency for the past couple of years. So we've spent a tremendous amount of time kind of digging into what makes people more efficient in the workplace, and how do we create more connection and collaboration with the employees today in today's workforce?
And what are some of the things that your company has found have been coming up that are some of the issues at meetings?
Well, I think one of the big things is the generational change within today's workforce, right? So, some of the studies out there show that, by 2020, 59% of the global workforce is going to be in the millennium or Generation Z employees. And having that generational gap between older employees and the younger workforce, there are very different expectations with respect to workplace technology between those generational gaps, right? The other thing is the prevalence of more and more meetings. I think if your schedule is like mine, you have tremendous amount of, collaboration on various topics, and meetings become, the majority of your day, and you want those to be as efficient as you possibly can make them.
And can you give some examples of the different expectations that people would have in the workplace? So let's say somebody that's maybe 25 versus somebody who's 55.
Absolutely. I think the younger generation is much more comfortable with evolving technologies than the older workforce. So I think one of the major things that they're looking for is, technology that's really tailored for how they want to work. There's a lot more virtual workplaces that exist today. I know that the majority of our employees are virtualized and they're not here in our Atlanta office. So being able to stitch virtual workforces into meetings is really critical. And the growth of the huddle space, where it's just 2 or 3 people exchanging ideas or collaborating on a project, has become much more prevalent than it was even 2 or 3 years ago, right? As the workplace has evolved and people are renovating offices, they're really rethinking their space, right? And what they need to make sure that the workforce is able to meet in the types of environments that they need to collaborate on projects. And there's a lot more smaller spaces today than there are 6 and 8 person conference rooms. That's, we have far less of those in our environment here at Barco, compared with the huddle space, which is really designed for 2 or 3 individuals collaborating on a specific project.
And as you're talking about, these are different spaces. We're not just doing meetings in an office where it's for our one place of work. We're in co-working spaces. We're at home. How do we kind of keep things more secure when we're doing these meetings virtually or in person at various locations?
Well, network security is a big concern for a lot of people, right? I mean, there's a lot of cyber threats that are out there, and there's a lot of tentativeness for IT departments to put things onto, in an enterprise network. So I think we've spent a lot of time on understanding IT rules, understanding IT deployment methodology, and making sure that there's good flexibility in the solutions that are available there, so that regardless of what the IT security requirements are, you have to be able to kind of migrate around those or work within the rule sets that IT departments are providing within an enterprise. And that really takes a tremendous amount of flexibility in the solution that you're picking for workplace technology.
Now, your company, Barco, has created a great solution for meeting and presentation efficiency called ClickShare. Can you talk about what ClickShare is and why it is so innovative?
Well, ClickShare is probably is one of the products that's out there in the wireless presentation space. And we really established this market about 6 or 7 years ago. And now there's a number of different solutions that do, perform similar functions, right? What we've really focused on is the user experience and how intuitive is using the technology. Because, one of the things that in our studies we found is that a tremendous amount of time is wasted trying to set a meeting up or trying to get things rolling, right? Whether it's using WebEx or other kind of unified communication platforms, various people have various levels of savviness with those tools, right? And some people are used to using them on a regular basis and some are not. But one of the things that we've focused on quite a bit with ClickShare is making the experience intuitive. So, our product is really known for our button, right, which is a really easy USB interface, which you input into your PC, and when it turns, white, it's ready to share, and you just press the button. And that's a really intuitive experience for anyone in your workplace. But we also know that, sometimes people don't want to use an external device of some type. And in some environments, IT has turned off your USB port. So at this point, we have, an enterprise application as well as the button. And so it allows ClickShare really to fit in a broad deployment strategy, regardless of, rules and regulations of an individual IT department.
Hey everyone, we hope you're enjoying this episode of B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. Let's pause for a moment to recognize our sponsor, D-Link Systems. Are network speeds slowing you down or security risks top of mind? Talk with D-Link Systems. Leverage award-winning products and deploy networks that are second to none with D-Link wireless, surveillance, and switching solutions. Contact Ashley Ruggiero at Ingram Micro today. That's Ashley, ASHLEY.Ruggiero, RUGGERIO at ingrammicro.com. Also, before we jump straight back to today's episode, we want to share with you another resource you're going to want to check out. Did you know that you could start your guided journey through PartnerTrack today? It's the tool that eliminates uncertainty in the IT channel. You can access meaningful content, get trained on new tech, and attend networking events, all while getting rewarded. Register now at ingrammicropartnertrack.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
Now, can you give us maybe a scenario of what using ClickShare would be like? So if I'm going into a meeting and there's 8 people and someone's about to present, how would that kind of happen?
So it's very straightforward, right? And I think, so it's a very straightforward process. Essentially, you have an external dongle that is connected wirelessly to a base station that's connected to your flat panel monitor that's in that room or a projector that's in that room. You insert this into your USB port, and it works with USB-A or USB-C, ports on your PC. It loads a very light piece of software that is native to Windows based on our most recent software update. So that process is easy. Windows installs a light driver, and as soon as the button shows that it's activated, you press it and you're ready to share, and your content goes up onto the screen. And in many cases, multiple people are sharing content at the same time, right? We're brainstorming, we're debating different ideas, we're evaluating the cost of a marketing plan or a launch plan. So we're looking at various pieces of data. And with ClickShare, you can share multiple information streams from multiple PCs simultaneously to really get to the meat of the meeting and make it as productive as we possibly can. And if you contrast that with the traditional meeting room technology, where you've got a USB cable or a HDMI cable that's sticking out from the middle of the table, and you're inputting that into your PC, and then trying to figure out how to get your monitor up on screen, and then someone else wants to do the same thing, and that requires you to unplug the HDMI and hand it across the table, the experience is significantly better. And after once or twice of using ClickShare, it really becomes an intuitive experience and an intuitive process, whether you're a technology-oriented worker like myself, or you're a senior leader within the business who may or may not be as tech savvy as some of the frontline workers, and that experience really carries over. So that's one thing that we've really focused on, is making sure that the user experience is as seamless as possible.
And what are the requirements that a company or a person would need in order to use this?
Really none. That's one of the greatest things. It doesn't have to be on the network. It doesn't require it to be network enabled in any way, shape, or form. And that's why a lot of companies in high security kind of segments, banking, defense, healthcare, other segments where network security is really serious because the information that's sitting on their network is so confidential, they've really gravitated towards ClickShare because it doesn't require that network connectivity. However, there's great network deployment strategies that are native in ClickShare if companies do want to integrate it into the network and expand the capabilities of sharing using the app and other features and functionality related to management and active management and analytics if they want to go in that direction. But that's one of the great things about ClickShare is it provides the user with a great degree of freedom with respect to how they want to use it, how they want to deploy it, and how the users can interact with ClickShare in meeting rooms.
And can people use this virtually? You were talking about earlier, a lot of people have remote teams. Can it be used in that way as well?
Well, we're still working on that, right? So integrated it into unified communication platforms like Zoom or WebEx. But, I think people, when they're remote, they're sharing through one of those types of platforms, screen sharing through one of those types of platforms. And really today, ClickShare is primarily focused on the physical meeting room environment. And then we're still relying on traditional UC tools to engage the remote worker.
I mean, this also works really well at conferences, I would assume, too.
Exactly, because at conferences, you have multiple people that are presenting information in sequence, or you do have people that are maybe not as familiar with particular kind of presentation systems. And because it's so intuitive, it really has become a popular solution in those environments too, where people are coming from another company, and with a quick explanation, that presenter can get their content on screen really easily.
So if people have questions about being able to be more efficient in their meetings or their conferences for you personally, or about ClickShare, where can they learn more, online or on social media?
Well, I'll tell you what, we have got a great amount of information on our website, which is www.barco.com. That's BARCO.com. They're welcome to contact me on LinkedIn. You can find me out there, Kurt DeYoung, KurtDeyoung, or they can hit me up on Twitter at Kurt DeYoung, first name, last name, no spaces. And I'm happy to address any questions or get you in contact with any of our specialists here at the business around ClickShare.
Great. And the last question I have for you is, where do you personally see technology going in the next year?
Well, I think what we're going to see in technology is how do we really make technology as intuitive as we possibly can. If we think about how we integrate it into the network infrastructure, that's a major issue. How do we support BYOD? Because in a lot of companies, they're not providing laptops anymore. They're providing you with an allowance, and you provide your own device. And also, I may prefer to hold information on my telephone or my tablet, and I don't bring my laptop. So the BYOD concept is really important. The other really important thing is some people they travel differently in the workplace, right? Some people carry a pad and pen in their phone, and they have a lot of information that's stored locally. So I think one of the biggest things on the technology side is supporting the unique workforce environment. And we continue to do a lot of research around workspace, work style, workplace, and workforce. And we're trying to really drive the development of the ClickShare platform in all of these four directions based on the information that we're getting from users through research and through interviews to make sure that we understand their needs, and the product is really delivering value to them, and it's not just technology for technology's sake.
Well, thank you, Kurt. This was great information on how we can be a little bit more efficient in our meetings. And thank you for sharing your knowledge about ClickShare as well.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. And thank you for the opportunity, Carrie.
If you like this episode or have a question, join the discussion on Twitter at Ingram TechSoul with the hashtag B2B Tech Talk. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro.
You've been listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, hosted by Carrie Roberts and sponsored by D-Link Technology. B2B Tech Talk is a joint production by Sweetfish Media and Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro production handled by Laura Burton and Christine Fan. To not miss an episode, subscribe today in your favorite podcast platform.